I have been running events all around the world intensively, for 15 years or so. And what you are creating for your first event already, I feel, far exceeds the vast majority of what people are offering in the space. In that what we are creating together is a space where the transformation begins before any of the processes or ceremonies, because you're creating such a pure space from the get-go of deep humility. And I just want to speak to that I was very moved by your prayer and how you even started a podcast.
If you're hungry to feel connected in ways you haven't yet with people, relationally, this is a great opportunity to have a taste and an experience of what's possible in the sense of how we connect, how we see each other, how we relate. And if you're someone who struggles to feel like your mind and your judgments get loud and it gets in the way of you really accepting people and connecting with people deeply, this is a great environment to join, to have an opportunity of wait a minute, what happens if other aspects of me come online more fully, that my mind isn't so loud and kind of corrupting at times my connections, my love. If I shut down and I close off and I block my heart from love, this is a good opportunity to be in an environment where you could actually stretch that and expand into not closing your heart off. So if you've had hardship with family that wasn't healthy and parents and situations where you feel hardened by life and the world, this is an environment to soften around the hardening.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Going Out Looking In, the podcast where we're exploring the human experience through conscious conversations. My name is Maxi, I'm your host, and today it's all going to be about going out looking in the experience. And for anyone who hasn't heard about it, well, I'm going to give you a short recap. As you know, I've been doing this podcast for nearly 3 years now. And since the beginning, there was this inner desire to bring this podcast into form, into an experienceable form, and in a format that goes beyond me just sitting in front of this microphone sharing. Always wanted this to be a two-way street, that's why I, so early on encouraged you to comment and to interact with me, to send me messages, to, even facilitating events back in the day, Berlin, when we did the live podcast and many other things that I did, and always ask for your opinion, always ask for your feedback, because that is to me what brings this alive, and then a part of that, when you look at the evolution of the podcast, it started out with me just going outside, right, for walks and talking into my thing. Then it became this interview kind of format where I talked to people. So it was already two, the two of us. And then now I have people from all around the world listening and tuning in, and it's been an honor to serve you in this way, really. And when back in the days, I was missing resources or connections or simply confidence in facilitating a larger in-person experience for you, I'm now ready, and I decided to do it. So this year it's happening. So if you've been listening to the podcast and wanted to experience it more deeply and go deeper into what we are talking about here, this is the best, and that's the opportunity basically to do so. Because it's coming to Germany. We are meeting on the feet of the Bavarian Alps at Lake Chiemsee in Bavaria, at a beautiful location called the Matador Lodges. It's an 2,000 square meter ground, which includes a mansion, a villa, a main villa, tiny houses, even a tree house, a river that runs through the property, and a lake in the middle. Beautiful nature surrounds us. There's going to be the most beautiful food, and there's going to be the most powerful and experienced facilitators that I came across in my lifetime. And that is, first, Chrissie Fire Mane from the Mana movement. Second, Shems Heartwell from beautiful Hawaii. Both of them have been guests on this podcast. Both of them were praised by you. You were resonating with it. I got so many great messages and feedback for those 2 episodes, and that was what I integrated into the selection of the facilitators, because this is all about what I've learned over 3 years doing this podcasting thing, about investigating the human experience, because that was from day one what we wanted to do, what I wanted to do, right? What I set out to do was like, I want to understand myself better. I want to understand the relationship to myself better and the relationship to the world, right? Going out into the world to look in, this is like the cyclical relationship that we all have, right? We can only do so much just with and by ourselves. We need to be in touch with humanity, with the world outside of us, right? To be able to see ourselves from different angles. So that's the spirit of this event. It's going to be 6 days, right, that we have together. That's plenty of time. And it's going to be a very intimate, small group. 18 participants, 18 spots. Some are already taken. 7 men, 7 women. That's what we got left in terms of space. 7 men and 7 women. Couples are welcome. So if that resonates, please go to the show notes now. You can schedule a free 30-minute drop-in with me, a call. I'm just going to be here for you. I'm going to hear you out, and we're going to discuss sounds so serious. We're going to talk about and share what's alive for you and how this event could support whatever you're going through, whatever you want to explore deeper, And this episode in particular is about tuning into my energy, tuning into the energy of Chrissie and Shems, because many of you may know me and how I am in the world, and you may resonate with me or not, but no matter where you're coming from to this podcast, this is an opportunity to get to know me, to get to know Chrissie, to get to know Shems, so you know who you're working with, and if there's resonance. That's what it's going to be about. We're addressing some questions. We're sharing about our intentions for this event. We're going to be talking about the 3 pillars of the event that build the foundation for this experience, and so much more. So I'm so much looking forward to bring this to you. There's a special early bird thing happening until March 1st. So be quick. Seats are going fast. Go to the show notes now, schedule that call, or go to goingoutlookingin.com where you find all the relevant information, or go to my Instagram at Maxi Bartel and send me a DM, and we go from there. It's all possible. We don't have to make a big deal out of it. If you really want to join, we'll make it happen. With that all being said, I wish you beautiful insights. As always, with myself, Shems Heartwell, and Chrissie Fire Mane. Welcome to this conversation. I am super excited to have all 3 of us in this room together. The room which happens right now, it will happen in between now and the actual experience, and obviously it will happen once September 16th is in the 3D timeline, and all of us will be together and united with you, the listener. And that just fills my heart with joy and gratitude, because right now, as this project is emerging and being birthed into the world, and I'm having conversations and I'm having personal meetings with people to speak about the project, it just becomes clear that each hand that touches this project is full of a loving intention. And that is including the kitchen hand, that is working for the catering, that is including the cleaning lady at the property that we're gonna be in. But it's also the owner, obviously, and then it's you two, and it's the yoga instructor that I've just met yesterday, and the musician who is gonna play some songs. And so everyone who has been in touch with this project is just loaded with the most like generous and loving intention towards it, and is like, Maxi, I really want to support, and I really want to like pour what I can offer into the space in my capacity. And that's just the biggest co-creational gift that I could ever imagine, and just what I wanted for this project. So with that being said, I'm super excited to have this conversation, to just give people an opportunity to feel into all of our energies, and to have a point of reference, right? To feel into, okay, like, how does that resonate with me, you know? And how can I connect to Chrissie? How can I connect to Shems? How can I connect to Maxi? What areas of my life, of my heart, can and would I like to, you know, bring into something like this? And where do I see, you know, connections, threads that just like intuitively emerge from my being that I would love to explore with these people, right? Because that's, you know, that's the thing. Some may know myself, some may know Chrissie, and some may know Shems, but they don't know the other two. So that's what this call is about, you know, feeling into the energies, holding the space, and just have fun. You know, we have an hour of time just to have fun with this, and talk about the most beautiful thing in the world, which is, you know, human connection, and sharing that. I mean, what else could be more exciting? Yeah. So, you know, as a ritual of the podcast, it's just a very brief 2-minute kind of thing we take, just to sync up, ground. So just invite us all on the call, everybody listening, just like to quickly go internally, take some inner inventory of what is alive by maybe closing the eyes, and just become a little more aware of the human experience. That means having your feet on the ground, if that is possible for you right now. If you're driving, maybe you want to just adjust your seating a little bit so you can feel your back against the driver's seat a little bit more. Don't close your eyes. And just really the human form, you know, the beautiful flesh suit we are inhabiting, the house for a soul. How does that feel today? How does that feel to be alive today, with everything that is there? So just a moment here. And then inviting us to sync up through 3 breaths, and those are in through the nose and out through the mouth. I'll count us in. 3, 2, 1, and in, Anali. And out, Skilama. In again, Anali. Skilama. And one more, Anali. Skilama. invite you to put a hand on your heart, maybe both hands, whatever feels better, and offering some words here. Dear beautiful creation on this day, please facilitate a loving connection between myself, Chrissie and Shems. Guide our tongues so we can speak what needs to be said, we can hear what needs to be heard, we can share what needs to be shared. May we navigate this conversation with openness, respect, love, reverence for all the things we get to experience every day, the gifts of life, the nectar, food in our tummies, the soul we're standing on, the roof over our heads. May we remember. May we remember. Thank you, we thank you, we thank you. And with that, dropping in to this conversation, inviting us back. And just opening up the space for you two, Chrissie and Shems. Love to carve out some time for each one of you to just share from the heart what's alive right now, what is alive, what moves you currently, and when tuning into this co-creation of going out, looking in the experience, what is it also from everything that you've done, you're looking forward to bring into this one. So yeah, Chrissie, how do you feel?
I feel very moved, Maxi, by your prayer. And before I share about what I'm excited to bring, I just want to say, to answer your question about what's in my heart and what I'm being moved by, I'm being very much moved by you and the way you are approaching your creation of this event. And before we started recording, and even, it was before, you just shared about, the care and your commitment to that and the purity that I can feel in you as a being and in this upcoming event is exquisite. And I have been running events all around the world intensively, for 15 years or so, and what you are creating for your first event already, I feel, far exceeds the vast majority of what people are offering in the space. In that what we are creating together is a space where the transformation begins before any of the processes or ceremonies, because you're creating such a pure space from the get-go of deep humility. And I just want to speak to that I was very moved by your prayer and how you even started a podcast. You are a beautiful human being. And I feel, so honoured and so excited about what we're doing. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share to begin with. And what am I excited about? Is this where you'd like me to introduce myself?
Just take it where you want to go and where you want to take it. I guess for all the people who haven't heard of you and maybe Mana, what you've been up to, that would be, I think, a good time.
Okay, good. All right, well, my name is Chrissie Charlie. My spirit name is Fire Mane, and I am the director of the Mana movement, which is a global school of humanity. It's a grassroots, revolutionary, humble, and very, very grounded movement of students worldwide who are dedicated to understanding the power of love and are willing to move themselves first on behalf of the growing awareness of love and what that means in the world. And I am more certain than ever of the power of what we're doing. My certainty in the last week has just expanded exponentially about essentially what is a pathway to freedom that Mana offers people. So when I say a pathway to freedom, literally a pathway that we've carved out that is an accumulation of coursework that does free the human heart, mind and spirit very efficiently, very safely and very efficiently. And I'm just wholly dedicated to getting this work out to as many people and families. Really, for us at Mana, it's about families being the the heart of the fabric of humanity. So a lot of what we do in this pathway and the concepts therein, which are all heart related, it's not intellectual in the slightest, it's all heart related and transmitted heart to heart. It just brings families back together very swiftly, and that's kind of our greatest. What would I say? It's like we see that as the swiftest way to stabilize humanity. Is to stabilize the relationships in families, and the benefits that affords an individual as to, wow, I can make major change in relationship, and then the benefits roll out from that into all areas of their life. But that's what we're doing at Mana. And so coming to this beautiful event, I just have so many things to share. I mean, you just won't be able to shut me up. I just have so much to share, not just from that pathway that I was trained in myself, but just so many goodies that I've picked up along the way that have certainly shifted my life immensely. But then in sharing them, I notice it does that for others' lives. So I have a beautiful treasure chest, so to speak, of gems from my teachers in the Peruvian Andes and my lineage, the path I walk over there. So I am a successor to a very powerful lineage tradition over there. And so, I've got a kind of a dual path of goodies to share. The pathway to freedom from the Mana movement work, and then also this beautiful earth medicine pathway that I've been entrusted with actually by the elders in the Andes. And so I've just got I just will share whatever I can to help someone truly remember their power, like their immense power, which I see undoubtedly in each being. And I seem to have a knack of bringing that out swiftly. So I'm excited. That's what I am passionate about and focusing on, and what I'm so keen to share with the beautiful participants at our event in September.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing this. Yeah.
Pleasure.
There was actually, I just remember now, because I have sort of like this potpourri, this portfolio of like of things to get back to regarding both of our individual conversations on the podcast and feedback that I got. And one overlapping feedback from our episode, Chrissie, that just came up was like, there was a moment where you spoke about some processes that you had with women, and them being sort of like on the cusp of like breaking out of their like inner shell. It's just like like you could feel it coming, and they were sort of like stepping into this more powerful version of themselves, but they were just, something was missing. And you were elaborating a little bit on how you were working with them, and just like this and this is the energy that is just like comes through in the podcast now as well, where it's like on the one hand you're holding this such a loving, caring, sacred, safe space, and then you hit it with at the right time with the right intention, and you're just like, okay, and now you're ready now, and you deliver that through with a loving and fierce sort of like poignant energy, and then boom, it breaks out of the human, and it's just like, that's then the upgrade that happens. And I found that so beautiful how you were speaking about this one experience where it's just like, where you basically said something along the lines of like, it's enough, like, I'm not talking to you like the little one again, because you're far more powerful than that. And that's when she realized for the first time, actually no one ever has spoken to me in this way and has seen me in this light, and has seen this power within me, and it's actually, I can actually step into that, but it just hasn't been seen. And that was so, I remember that vividly, and people have talked about this with me, they're like, oh wow, that was powerful. So just wanted to bring that up.
I'll never forget that moment, and I'm like moved now to tears because I'm remembering her eyes in that moment, just the way they opened and looked at me in sheer shock that I wasn't going to buy her baggage, which is what everyone in her life had done. Every therapist, every psychotherapist, every healer, every this, that and the other, every friend had kept locking her into what was not her. And although I do believe that, and I was just thinking about this morning, it's interesting that, and it's a premise of the work at Mana, that we do allow a being to have sufficient time and space in the victim, where they can say, geez, this has been hard for me, I've been hurt, and allow the backlog of upset to come out and be heard. That's so important, and I don't believe we can jump over that. But I think, and I'm sure, Shems, you'd probably feel the same, after decades of really intensively researching and working with the human heart, we get good at knowing at that place energetically when it is time that you can crack through with truth, and when it's time to open the space for the victim, and when it's time to do the other. That is a skill of expertise. And I know, Shems, you have that, and I have that, and that is one of the invaluable things that people will have at this event, is people that have done a lot of work with a lot of people, and so we know how to bring you through things swiftly. We're not beginners. And I feel so much more like ready to claim that. Don't you, Shems? I feel so ready to go, hey guys, I've got the skills and I can take you through quick. Let's go. Yeah. And it's exciting to do that, and in an egoless way, not like a, hey, look at me, like, hey, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it and get into our power and joy. It's the joy, actually, that, I get most excited for people to move right into, above the limitation of survival and mind, and right up into living life where we're supposed to be living it.
Beautiful.
In awe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In awe.
And you bring that through, so much.
Good. So,
Shems, opening up the space for you, brother. What's alive for you? And just share a little bit about your journey as well. Love to hear it.
Yeah, well, I'll enter just being like, I feel the electricity, the aliveness, just being with both of you right now and with this conversation and taking you in, Chrissie, just knowing who you are and what you're doing and where you're coming from. And I feel the lightning of that, the electricity, the energy. And I have this song I've written called Our Love Be Lightning, and it's like thunder from within. And I really believe in that in some ways. What group work and collective work, when we come together, there's a catalytic energy that happens. And I've been so fortunate in my journey to have mentors and teachers in many environments I've been in. And some of the deepest work of my life didn't happen one-on-one. It happened in a container where the shared intention, the group, the facilitators, that began to illuminate and bring things to the surface that few other environments would. And so when I say what we're bringing here, we're bringing this realm of like, how do we all co-create an environment where we can burn through some of the stuff's in the way of our light, of our love, of our hearts being open, some of the traumas and family lineage things that we carry. For me, it's like, it's our time now to shed some of the old layers and fabric of things that have kept us in limiting patterns that we recycle. And we're here to burn through that and have experiences that are in the awe, like you said, Chrissie, so beautifully, that like bring us into the joy, bring us into the realm of like, wow, I really see you. I feel you. I know you. And how often in our busy lives and world, no matter where we are, that life just moves so fast and there's so much to go do and so much puts us into our mind that we're missing a lot of the sacred, the ceremonial, the rich relational experiences that make life more meaningful, more deep. And like you said, Chrissie, so beautifully, that nourish our families in ways that help us be fulfilled rather than like looking from the outside, like, what more can I have to be okay? What more can I own to be okay? What more do I need from the outside to be okay? Versus what am I generating from the inside that has me feel so filled up? And so, I'm coming to this with like, fortunately, I've been cooked to the bone with a lot of good teachers and a lot of my own traumas and hardships in life. And I've been so blessed to say yes to things like this and to have like some teachers and mentors that like, came in, like Chrissie said, came in with the right heat and the right love and the right fire to help me break through my own limitations. The places where I don't realize that I'm recycling in a stuck pattern and other people see it and I can't see it. And so if we're bringing some of this too, it's like, how do we be allies and this supportive energy to help us see in each other what we don't see in our own selves? And that's another valuable thing about a retreat like this, is that we go deep together. We share all these experiences that are designed to let surface up what's in the way. And at the same time, to give us opportunity to like shine and open and turn on our gifts, turn on our perceptions, turn on the capacity in us that goes dormant in an insane world, in the chaos of a busy world we live in. So for me, that's what lights me up. And that's what I'm bringing, is I want to bring this realm of like, when we come together, it's a profound experience and an opportunity to like really look within and at the same time really feel and see and open and allow ourselves to open like a flower, open more into our fullest potential. And that's the thing that excites me. And similar to Chrissie, like connecting with you, Maxi, and hopping on podcasts and feeling your presence and your pace and your connection to yourself has given me such a yes to collaborate with you, and knowing that what you're creating and what your intentions are to go into the place we're going to and all the things, feels like we're creating a very ripe environment to welcome in those of you that are called to join us, to step into a space that's just so precious. And if nothing else, it's this opportunity to like be in love with a group of people that just the world doesn't allow all the time, to like really feel like, what's it like to forge relationships that could last a lifetime because of how thoroughly and meaningfully and deeply we're connecting here, and how much we're feeling known and accepted and loved and seen as we are. So that's what I want to bring and what lights me up, along with the beautiful dance with each of you and what comes through in our matrix of shared gifts.
Oh man, so beautiful. Yeah.
Look out. take off.
Yeah. Mhm. So beautiful. Yeah. I mean, just like, I would just love to. There's like a German saying where it's like speaking out of the like, you speak about personal experiences with someone, you plauder out of the Nähkästchen. That's like it's like a saying, right? You talk about you talk out of a box basically that you've collected experiences with this person, and one of the experiences in that box with you, Shems, we've met at Sacred Sons Convergence for the first time in LA. That was 2 years ago, and you were holding this circle about relational healing, right, and healing in relationships, and it was, the first part was like this talk you gave, and then it moved into this work with individuals, right? And you called upon some brothers, and you did some, and then you just had them share a little bit what you have been sharing about relationships, and how the heart opening and also the masculine side of like holding space for the feminine and for all of that is basically an essential part for like intimacy to arise. So you had like some brothers share there about their experiences, and I was just so in awe of like it of the like immediacy, like just like within a millisecond you had like this, without the story of this human, right, without all of the cognitive clutter, you cut right through and each like address them so individually, and we're able to like differentiate between like, okay, what's the story and what is actually the root of this man's heart, and what's at the core of this relational thing that he describes right now, right? That's holding him back to enter more intimacy, to be more vulnerable with his partner, whatever the story is, right? But you just had this ability of like cutting through all of that and just like be in the most like, and that's like also something about you that I love, like this such a like gentle but very precise sort of like work within what you're doing. It's just like so poignant, and but in the most graceful, loving way. You just feel so like welcomed by how you do it. And then I stopped you in the cafeteria, and I was just like, hey, I really loved I love what you were doing now. I don't know if you remember that moment. It was just like 30 seconds, and then you had to go. But for me, it was clear. All right, this guy, I'll get back to this guy. And then moving forward, we did the podcast, and now we're here. So exciting. And yeah, just wanted to share that little nugget of appreciation towards you and your work.
Thank you, brother. I think what happens for all of us is when we do the deep work, our perception increases, and we see things, we see patterns, and we see things beyond the mind and beyond stories or what's being said. There's so much more that's presented, and all of us, we're so readable with what's going on for us because it shows up in the color of our face and the energetics of our being and our posture. And this is, again, the rich part of doing work together collectively, is it allows us to learn from each other, but to keep increasing our capacity to like relate, to connect, to learn, to open, to intuitively perceive and sense, and ultimately to trust ourselves, to trust the deep knowing and wisdom that lives in all of us. And if there was like one thing we want for everybody, is we want us all to be switched on and running on our full dimmer switch all the way to the brightness, so that we're all contributing to the world, right? And so I think the more that we want that for every person, the more it helps us see what might be in the way of that too, to help whatever wants to happen to come through.
Yeah, beautiful. So before I definitely, I would love to speak a little bit about the pillars of the event and what we bring to each one of these. Just very briefly, so Chrissie, you outlined so beautifully also what kind of lineage you're working with and how that influenced the work that you're doing both now here in this event, but also with Mana. I would just love to have a short amount of space for you, Shems, to share a little bit about the work that you've been doing also with couples and with individuals in the past. Because that obviously is really, shining through in your work. So I would love to give you some opportunity to share a little bit about that as well.
Great. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the front line of all of our evolution is how we relate, right? So for me, couples work and relational work is, and I think some of the most important spiritual work, truly. Like, we could go and we could have a meditation practice and do our deep work, but really it's in the kitchen around what we're having for dinner, or around like our stresses around finances and taxes and pressures and things like that, where we really find out who we are and what our capacity is, and where we get tested and stretched to stay in our hearts and to not get overwhelmed. And so I've been really fortunate to have some really good mentors, and I have a pretty long list of them, but a few of the key ones are Gay and Katie Hendricks were really big teachers for me, and I spent many years apprenticing with them and being in their containers. And what their work has really been a very embodied approach of listening to more of our whole being intelligence, which is, it's the body, it's the heart, it's the gut, and it's not just the mind, it's our energy system, it's our way of breathing, it's our way of actually utilizing this phenomenal human capacity that we have that's in so many ways underdeveloped because of a world that's been overly mentally polarized. And so a handful of my teachers all lean on that same way, is that we've become so brilliant mentally that actually gets in the way of a more profound intelligence that lives through our whole beings. And so a lot of my work is, whether it's individually or with couples, is how do we learn to access more of our whole being intelligence and operate from that? Literally, like we would think of an operating system in a computer. If it's limited to only having this much RAM or these particular functions, no matter how how many sophistications it's going to have areas where it just bottoms out, or where it limits, or where it slows down, right? And so similar with our system, you could read all the best books on consciousness and relationship and spirituality, but if it bottlenecks in your system, when your system gets tight around anger and the whole body locks up a little bit and freezes, or gets into like, and then doesn't have a way to actually depressurize and move and basically stay sober, because we get intoxicated by the reactivity in our systems. And so no amount of understanding will ever help us have the capacity to really meet what's happening. So another reason why group work is so important, because it gives us a safe and loving and accepting environment to find where our edges are and to gently raise them. So that's what I've been just all about. That is again, it's the best terminology is we're upgrading our operating system, both in my own self and connection and attunement to this body, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and then my ability to share that and exchange that and live from that place relationally as much as possible. And not even just with people, but with Ma Pachamama, with the Gaia, with Earth. Like if we're not plugged into this living Sophia life force energy in us, in some ways, it has us disassociate and live more in a mental story, which is very illusory in a lot of ways and not truly grounded in reality. So it's like it's all these wonderful pieces of life. How do we keep finding ways to make sure that web is connected and that we're operating in that way? And that's what most of my own education experiences have come from, and what I do my best to share with people in my work.
Well, that makes for a hell yeah. All to all of that. That's definitely, a big part of how the lens I also view a lot of trauma work through. All of so much of hurt is and scars are caused in relationships. So it is being healed in relationship, right? And so we enter these rooms, with people, and we get to see ourselves, right, through their eyes. And I feel really like both of you are just such conduits for transformation in this field where you just create a space for people to like see themselves through the eyes of, through themselves, and then through the eyes of the container they're in. And that offers, so many new insights around us, and how we relate and how we want to relate in the future, what we can create. Like, oh, I didn't even know that this was inside of me. But now I can see, now I can feel. And that obviously in and of itself, when you look at it, it's just like objectively, you leave with so much more than you came with, because it's just like it's widening the field of human experience, of human awareness, right? It upgrades your RAM, as you said, Shems, right? The internal hard drive of the soul is just getting, freed, more wires connecting, and also connecting to more than just our own experience that we collected over the past, but also it plugs into the infinite wisdom that is always there and always will be there, right? Which we sometimes lose connection with. So I love all of that. We touched upon, we touched upon physicality. We talked about like emotions and relational healing, and then we talked about a little bit of ceremonial spiritual work, and this is exactly the segue into the pillars that sort of like build a foundation for what we are creating here, right? We talk about the pillar of physical pillar, we talk about the emotional relational pillar, and then we talk about the spiritual and ceremonial one. So just the latter, Chrissie, I would love to just have you share a little bit what comes to heart when also in preparation for this, we were brainstorming and feeling into like what feels aligned to bring into this container regarding ceremonial and spiritual processes and work. And I would just love for you to share a little bit about what you're looking forward to bring in this category.
Thank you. Well, Shems and I talked last week, about what we'd love to bring, and I definitely feel that when it comes to ceremony, that I don't want to plan too much until feeling, more of the people there and what's needed, so that it's authentic and not just sort of we've just booked something in from our minds. But having said that, I always feel that an offering ceremony to Mother Earth is appropriate. And so we'll certainly be doing that together. And that's something that I've learnt from my family and teachers in the Andes, a beautiful ceremony of offering to Mother Earth at the beginning of any endeavour. We do that, so that will be so beautiful. But I can certainly speak into why we want to include ceremony at the event and the benefit of that, and really, it's sort of, Shems, you touched on it earlier when I think you were talking about, the soul, like our souls, and a lot of human beings are very, very disconnected from a lot. All of us to varying degrees are going through a reconnection process. We're reconnecting to our emotions and ourselves, or reconnecting to our bodies even, certainly reconnecting to a living relationship with Earth itself, with nature itself, with others. Like, that's by and large what the human race is undergoing, is an en masse process of reconnecting. We've become very isolated, in our minds, doing things on our own, lone wolf, very small family units, and this reconnection process, I believe, is best facilitated with ceremony. And what ceremony, really, my teachers in the Andes say life is a ceremony. Like, every damn part of every damn day is a ceremony. It's sacred. But for a lot of us, we're walking back to that reality. We're sort of walking back to that reality, and ceremony might be something completely new to us. And how wonderful, isn't that? That's just beautiful to be fresh to it. But simply, it reconnects us to something greater than ourselves. So ceremony invites us into an expansive space where we come off of ourself and we put the bigger picture, so to speak, at the top of the pile or in the center of the circle, whether that's, a group prayer that is happening in the ceremony that's bigger than just us as individuals. So we're now praying for something greater than ourselves. Maybe we are honoring something greater than ourselves. We can have ceremonies for the sun, we can have ceremonies for water, we can have ceremonies for the children of the earth. It takes us into a space where we, as I said, come off of our individual perspective and connect up into a more of a tribal heart space, a communal heart space, and that is actually home ground for humanity. That is where we were designed to exist. Actually, if we look at the blueprint of the human being and our energetic makeup, our heart, which is the HQ and the center of our energetic toroidal field, it's a mega connector. It's made to connect. That's what it does best. And on our planet, it's funny, even such simple words as "we are cosmic beings" can really confront people. What do you mean? I'm not cosmic. What? We've become so limited in our understanding of what we are and who we are. And that's not good or bad. That's just where things are at. That's the status quo on the planet. But it's not the truth. The truth is we are hugely connected as individuals to the cosmos and beyond, each one of us. And ceremony opens that doorway. It does allow even a total beginner, someone who's lived in their mind their whole lives, ceremony allows a doorway to open to something that is mystical, that includes the sheer mystery of where we live, this universe. And what I know is that when we are humble enough to allow in the mystery and recognize that there is very little that we actually know. Very, 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 very little. Then we're closer to truth than, taking any stance that we know and, no. Like ceremony opens up that beautiful, magical, mystical doorway that expands us. And when we expand and connect to more through ceremony, we feel more joy and love and community and all the good things that we're all after. Like ceremony, I'm telling you, like it's just the best way to get there. And so we will be including that aspect in this beautiful gathering in a number of experiences. We've talked about fire, and being with the fire in a ceremonial way. And the ceremony that I like to stand in, co-create, be a part of, is very simple. It's not convoluted, and it's so simple that any human being can understand and feel a part of. Any human being from any walk of life. It's something that is inclusive, and so I'm very excited about that, because I know that it's almost like in ceremony for me, it's the feeling in between the words. It's the space. much like you guys were talking at the beginning of the call, like the feeling of electricity. Do you know the feeling that is created in ceremonial circles that has got nothing to do with anything that's being said? That's what excites me, and I see that being incredibly good for human beings. Like it reactivates ancient knowing that, again, sort of clicks us back into a place where togetherness and honouring nature and the cycles therein and the beauty of our world is kind of like, no, that's what we should be doing. That's what life's about, actually, is the honouring of life. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I am excited about to bring with this ceremonial pillar of our work. And I'd love to hear what you think, Shems, because you're a ceremony man as well. And what do you think around this? What have I missed out?
I really appreciate all you're sharing. I think it's just an opportunity for us too to come together in a way that has memory too, from lifetimes and lineages and history of humanity has been around a fire, or coming together and getting quiet and dropping into a place where we're really listening to each other and we're communing with the land, with the earth, with this beautiful place we're going to be in Germany, with the mountains all around and a lake and on this sacred place. I think it's just another way that we tap into an energy that's more regenerative and nourishing and mutually connecting. And it's not the way we usually do connection, right? In our busy mainstream world, I think it's a way that helps us remember, which remember means reconnect in a lot of ways. So that's the only thing I'd add. I think that's what you're sharing, and I really resonate with that. And if you think about us going through a day and, let's just say, doing yoga and doing some breath work and doing some physical connection and doing some relational experiences, to have the evening be more of a winded down to more of a quiet way of like sitting by the fire and doing some offerings and being under the stars and letting our systems actually relax and integrate and absorb all the really beautiful things that have happened. That's another way I think of ceremony too, is it allows our systems to kind of come into a place to integrate and allow things to digest in our experience rather than spill them out. Like we tend to like have incredible experiences and then talk over them, or get kind of like chirpy about what's going on into the night. And sometimes that will actually, in some ways, it might kind of disperse and stir up the depth of what's happening. And ceremony, I think, can actually bring us deeper into allowing what's happening kind of to go and settle in, so that we rest deeply at night and we're rejuvenated for the next day. So this is another aspect that's very practical and real, that like how we wind the night down, what we do into the evening, integrates into allowing us to have the stamina and the pace to do 5 days of a lot of expansive connection and deep work. And obviously we'll take time in the day to have our own time to take naps and rest, and we're working those things out. But I do think ceremony is another way that allows our systems to enter another mode that stays in the parasympathetic, if you know that terminology of more into that rest, digest, allow, integrate, rather than perform and do and show up that can be draining. It's actually, ideally, it's a rejuvenating experience, but a collective one, shared.
Yeah, so beautiful. I mean, just adding a little sprinkle here, it also even is reflected on the menu. Like when I spoke about, the kind of food we're gonna have, even the food is being adjusted to our schedule. We're gonna have different sorts of foods for all the different like evenings and lunches and everything to really, support our processes in that, and have, sometimes more sort of like comfort food, and really that nourishes the soul and grounds us more, have ingredients that are more grounding. And, in the morning, we're working with some lighter ingredients, right? That, that are opening, and not like dragging us down and make us all feel tired. And so like even that is something that we spoke about and when creating the menu for this. And And also something that I really wanted to add is, like, when it comes to the location, the story behind it is actually that, it used to be the headquarters for a local clothing company. And the owner, he then, so the operation terminated, and he was like left with this big piece of land, right? And now over the course of the last, I think, 10 years, they completely rebuilt it and made it what it is now. And so it's like this mixture of like, and it's a family business, right? And it used to be a huge like German operation, but it was all run by the family, and they are still doing it now. Not obviously the clothing business, but now they're doing this, they're running this location. So it both holds like this sort of, very, it has like heritage and it has a history, but now with what they're offering now, they're bringing like freshness, and they're really like, they're so excited to have us, and they really have this spirit of like, okay, yes, I want to support this, and we want to do this together. And that is also something that is a beautiful, like, that'll support us greatly as well. So with that being said, talking about the ceremonial and spiritual component, Shems, I would just love to dive into a little bit of the emotional side of facilitation here, and the pillar of, relating, and your expertise in that. Just hit us a little bit with what's coming through in this moment when you hear this.
Yeah, I think Chrissie and I really resonate together on this piece of creating interactions between folks that are, multiple interactive experiences that allow us to, for one, be in discomfort, but in a way that actually allows us to open. Like, so that, we stretch relationally when we're outside of our comfort zone, but at the same time safe. And we've got environments that have a container. So we've got lots of relational experiences. And for most people, these are ones that I think they'll really enjoy. That's the intention of it. This isn't about like putting you in a place where you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. It's more like, wow, that surprised me of like what I felt when this person shared feedback about what they see and know in me. And a lot of the interactive things are to do what I spoke of a little earlier. They help to turn on a deeper radar system in our being, so that we're feeling people. So we might walk around and have an interactive experience, and then stop in front of someone, have our eyes closed, and sense their presence, and sense what we feel and what we know about this person without looking at them. Simply by being in each other's presence, and then maybe sharing that with each other and being surprised by what we noticed, what we picked up on. So that's one example of many different relational experiences we'll create, and a lot of group interactive ones that allow us to look at some of maybe our prejudices of like what we naturally lean to, of like what we see as like who we feel safe with, who we feel comfortable around, what our general gravitational pull is to this kind of person. And how do we broaden that to the point where, wow, like I would have thought that this man over here wasn't that safe, or he had a certain thing about him that I don't feel comfortable with, and all of a sudden I feel this connection with this man in a way that I never would have thought I would. We want to create experiences where we're allowing ourselves to actually like break some of the old scaffolding of like what our perceptions are about like who's safe, what's safe, and is safety outside of me. Rather than do I generate safety in my experience, and then people meet that. And so that's part of the relational work too, is finding this center core alignment in ourselves that actually helps to create experiences where we're not at the effect of the people we're with. We're actually in some ways more of an affect on who we connect with, which flips the paradigm. We live in a world where we think we're at the effect of the guy freaking out down the street, whereas actually our loving presence might be the medicine that actually allows his system to stabilize and settle. So the relational things are a lot to kind of turn on, in some ways, our natural leadership, our natural capacity to actually be the ones that have beautiful impact on the people in our lives, rather than like waiting for someone to be that person to change there, versus trusting ourselves to actually be able to respond and meet what's happening rather than react and adjust to what's happening, kind of change our perception. Let's learn to increase our responsiveness so that we trust our ability to relate in a way that has beautiful impact, at least to the best of our ability. So that's just a few little windows into it, but a lot of that is all experiences that we turn on, and then we have space to discuss and talk about what we notice and to really relate as a group and understand like some of the similar things that many of us have that come up. Many of us share similar things that arise of where we get scared about certain things or certain things that touch our grief or our anger, and how do we have a space to really understand that dynamic and some of those shared relational patterns that we have, and at the same time free ourselves of the ones that have actually gotten in the way of us from actually staying in our hearts in the moment, rather than getting really cautious and freezing and shutting down a little bit and not connecting again, pulling away, pushing somebody away. All those ability, like, wait a minute, we don't have to do those things. There's a whole nother realm of ways we could relate and direct and create that's quite exciting and quite beautiful as we discover that in ourselves.
Yes, absolutely. That opens up a lot within me and has me all excited. I'm so sure that people will feel this transpire through this call. Thanks so much for sharing this, Shems. Chrissie, is there something else you that comes through for you, or?
Yeah, just like with this exciting exploration into how our heart is relating or is relatable to others. Like what my teacher taught me is that human beings, we are naturally positive. Like we don't, like we're just so loving. Like we're loving, beautiful creatures that love to love. That's who we naturally are. And she taught me that we don't need to touch that part. We don't need to touch the positive. All we need to do is get aware of and expose gently, safely, like Shems was saying, the negative. All we need to do is see where we're limited. If when we see the limits, then we have the power of choice. And we do with that what we choose. If you want to grow, you face it. If you don't, no problem. But that's all we need to do, is just bring our awareness up to those limits that we can't see. And that's what Shems and I help people with, is in a loving way go, hey, have you thought of that thing just over your right shoulder there? What? Oh my God, I've never seen that.
Yeah.
Oh, now I get it. Okay, boom. And it can dissolve, and then the heart naturally expands and takes up more space. We don't have to worry about touching the heart. I'm not a believer of positive affirmation and all that sort of stuff. We are positive. All we need to do is dissolve the limitation, dissolve the illusion, dissolve the imprinting that we've had, that has restricted our love. And we all need help with that. Mm-hmm. We all need help with that, me included, like totally. I've got my guides and my supervisor, like I'm always checking in with them, like what can I see next, or like we all need that. And I just really want to acknowledge the people that are, doing that in the world, and that, potentially choosing to come and spend this time with us, like you're my kind of people. That's true. Like that's love in action. People who are willing to be humble and go, okay, yep, I've got blind spots. Help me with them. Like that's so brave, and so few people are actually doing that. And that's okay. That's not wrong. But my Lord, like those people rule my world. The ones that are like, I want things to be better in my family. I want to get on better with my parents. I want the best for my great-grandchildren. I want the best for our planet. Let me have a look. Help me see the things I can't see so I can shine. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Like these people are rock stars in my view, and they move swiftly. Jim, because of that humility of being, you know, ready to be guided. Okay, I can't see it. Can you see it? Help me. They move swiftly, you know, because that humility piece is really powerful. And like, we're all about that at Mana. Like, and I know, Shems, you are too. Like, as facilitators, we're not standing on some kind of pedestal like we know it all. Shit, no. Like, we're moving with you. We're confronting our own thing as we're presenting it. Like, we have to. So we can create more space for people to actually free. We've got to keep moving ourselves. And that takes humility. And it's a huge power. And I know everyone out there listening has that, but like, honor that humility, you know, that would say, right, yeah, I'm up for more guidance.
Yeah.
I'm up for seeing what I can't see. Like, it's just super cool. I just wanted to add that bit.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Full support there. And, you know, that's also the perfect segue into just the third pillar, and I'm not going to expand on this too much because it's literally the logical consequence of what we've just been sharing, you know, physical pillar, that all of these transmissions, all of this work goes through the physicality of us, right? The physical form, you know, and that's where it happens right now, you know. And I feel like, you know, also within my personal journey, there was an inclination of transcendence, or like actually getting away from here and going higher, you know. But the way to heaven is down, as we know. And so like, it's boom, like down in the ground, like and you know, having the feet planted here on Bavarian soil in this case, you know, and feeling this energy, that mana that is here, you know, and it is here, and it carried so many beautiful beings. Here the Alps are just right behind us, you know, and really holding this field, you know. There's actually a monastery built in the middle of the lake on an island. And why is that? Well, you know, as you will be here a couple of days prior to the event, we'll visit and you'll feel the energy, and that's exactly why they built it there. It's a very potent, like, energy field here, and that's what we're gonna tap into, and the body is just like the instrument to do this through, right? And so this is not an intellectual mumbo jumbo kind of situation. This is a felt, direct experience that is being like tapped into here, and in a safe and guided way, you know, to each of the participants' individual capacity and nervous system, you know, and to, you know, like the principle of titration, right? It's just like drops, and it just like keeps expanding, you know, the capacity. That's yeah, that's the intention here. So I know we will keep this short and concise. So just to, as a last piece, I would just like to have both of you quickly share very briefly, for people who are interested in joining, like what would you say is something that someone who is interested is getting here in a nutshell, like something that you feel like is something that, like, if you want this, like, come join us, right? If you're feeling the call, if you're feeling something, that is definitely what we can offer, you know. And I would just like open up the space for you guys to drop this as we check out here.
Well, I can say that if anyone out there feels like the power of their spirit and heart is not yet unleashed and affecting the kind of change that you know it can in this life, in this world, come. Because the amount of spiritual and purpose satisfaction, let alone relational and emotional, but the the sense of purpose and the relief in purpose that you can actually like drive what you came here to do, no less. There's no price you can put on that. There's no price. And so I know that is what is available, is a massive upgrade relative to your purpose here. So that's what I would say. Yes.
Beautiful.
Shems?
Whew, beautiful. Yes, I stand with that. Yeah, I would add too that, if you're hungry to feel connected in ways you haven't yet with people, relationally, this is a great opportunity too to like have a taste and an experience of like what's possible in the sense of how we connect, how we see each other, how we relate. And if you're someone who struggles to like feel like your mind and your judgments get loud and it gets in the way of you really like accepting people and connecting with people deeply, this is a great environment to join, to have an opportunity of like, wait a minute, what happens if other aspects of me come online more fully, that my mind isn't so loud and kind of corrupting at times my connections, my love. If I shut down and I close off and I block my heart from love, like this is a good opportunity to be in an environment where you could actually stretch that and expand into like not closing your heart off. So if you've had hardship with like family that wasn't healthy and parents and situations where like you feel hardened by life and the world, this is an environment to soften around the hardening and to find some new aspects inside of you that emerge of like what you said earlier, Chrissie, I thought was really beautiful. It's like all of us have healthy amount of love and heart and care. That's not what the work is. The work is to unwind and shake off and free up some of the frozen parts of our systems that have been impacted by the world and by unhealthy family dynamics. And this is an environment to move in that direction and have some openings and have some experiences that will literally blow your heart open and shift you out of some of the common reality that keeps us suffering and keeps us repeating unconscious behaviors and patterns and sabotaging patterns. Like, wow, could we enter a place where actually we could feed and nourish patterns that really work, behaviors and experiences and ways of connecting with ourselves and others that really work, that are life-changing and that are like seeds that you can plant and water and you will see your life literally change, which is what you said right away, Chrissie, early on, is if you really want to like start to nurture your life in a way that turns on more of your fullness and your qualities and your capacity, this is an awesome step in that direction of many in the world, but here's one that will be really beautiful and fun and loving and precious, really.
Ari,
thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for both of your beautiful shares and input. I truly, truly appreciate you, and I can't wait to further co-create on this project and beyond. And yeah, enough said, that's it. Awakening is a series of softenings. We don't need ferocity. We need softening. We need an opening. And that's what we're going to create. Mic drop. That's it. All right.
Let's do it.
Join us September 16th to 21st. Reach out with any questions you may have, and more to come soon. Chirp. Hey, beautiful listener, you have made it all the way through. And I want to take a moment to say thank you. And you can do me an enormous favor. It's all I'm going to ever ask from you. And that is to go to your podcast app right now. And if you enjoyed the episode, give the podcast a 5-star rating. If you want to write 1-2 words or sentences, even more powerful, even better. Thank you, already in advance. And also, while you're at it, just click on that follow button, on that bell notification, so that you never miss a new episode. All of that just contributes, and it helps me to increase the reach of the podcast. That means I can attract bigger guests, and that means I can deliver more powerful episodes. So it's a tiny thing. I'm only gonna ask this little favor of you ever, not more. 10-15 seconds of your time, a couple of clicks, that's it. Makes a huge difference for me as a creator. So thank you so much.